I'm really excited to introduce our next speakers. So Nadeja Adams is a senior account executive with Springboard. As a Maryland native by way of San Francisco, Deja currently leads employer partnerships at Springboard. As an avid champion of unconventional pathways and a regular advocate for risk-taking, Deja is unapologetically passionate about the opportunities she is able to create for the eclectic network of Springboard candidates who come from so many different walks of life. Since joining Springboard, Deja has forged opportunities for candidates to step into exciting career pathways, in addition to driving powerful partnerships with organizations to continuously remove financial barriers to education. Now, it's through this work that Deja hopes to continue creating access for those who are eager to break into the tech industry, no matter what their path might look like. Deja is going to be joined in conversation with our own Kiran Devanath, who is a software engineer with Power to Fly. I'm really excited to hear this conversation, so I'm going to turn the stage over to you ladies. Take it away.
Welcome to the summit, Deja.
Thanks for having me, Kiran. I'm so excited to be here today. I mean, so many goodies we're going to dive into.
Exactly. Audience, just hold on to your horses because Deja has a lot to announce and a few surprises in there. So take it away, Deja.
Hello, everyone. I'm Deja, just like Deja Vu, if you forget. And I'm so happy to be back here now for the second summit series in the past, I don't know if it's 6 months, but it feels like the last one I did was just yesterday. Located here in San Francisco on the employer partnerships team here at Springboard. And we've got some exciting stuff going on in terms of inclusion, creating upward mobility and fostering all of these really amazing partnerships with nonprofits and corporate sponsors so that we can continue getting ahead of the curve, right? And I know myself and you, Karen, we talked about this. It's like, we always have our quotas and everyone's excited and thrilled. And I love the energy around fostering such inclusive environments, but we have to be open to the ways in which we, are making sure that we're continuing to keep that loop and that funnel going, right? And so access is important. And it starts with, are we making sure that we're creating equitable opportunities, for those who are looking to break into what is, a developing industry, but still very much has a long ways to go, right? And making sure we're on the front lines doing that work. But before we get into the nitty and gritty, I do have a really exciting, I like to do an icebreaker before we get into the details to learn more about the audience and what everyone's excited about. So I have been in huge vacation mode here for the past month or so. I just went to New Orleans actually, and I'm going to drop. Yes, it was really great.
Were you there for the Mardi Gras?
It was not Mardi Gras, no. Okay. It was just a weekend, but it was the weekend before Mardi Gras. So I caught some of the festivities. Gonna share my screen here with y'all. I don't know if I have permissions.
Yes, you should. If not, let me know. Oh yeah, you're right.
Not working, but if you go to slido.com, so SLIDO.com, and enter the code 642418. So that's slido.com, S as in snake, L as in lanyard, I as in igloo, D as in David, and O.com, and enter the code 642418. You should see a poll, and it's going to ask, what is the ideal vacation for you?
Look, she gave you permission. So want to put it out on this?
There we go.
Excellent. Yeah, awesome.
Here is the poll. So I'm going to give us about 30 seconds here and let's see which results come in. So anywhere in the mountains, there must be a beach involved, somewhere where you're sightseeing in a new city or a staycation. Maybe you're a homebody and you prefer to just stay home with a warm cup of tea and coffee and snuggle. I'm gonna give this a moment here. Ooh. It's pretty equal right now.
Oh, really?
Now a beach is winning. Oh, the beach is, ooh. All right, I'm gonna give us 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And here are the results. We should all see these. right here on my screen. So the beach won.
Oh, wow.
64%. Next was sightseeing in a new city. If you're ever in San Francisco, I'm happy to show you around here. And then staycations. Oh, it's still going down. All right,
Wow.
awesome. Well, I'm happy to dive
Wow.
in today to go over the topics, and I'll let you take it from here, Kiran, and we'll
Yes. These days, inclusion has become such a big buzzword, right? So we want to know inclusion in tech, particularly, and why it is so challenging. So what's Springboard and what is its take on this conversation?
Yeah, a buzzword, right? But a buzzword is just that, a buzzword if there's no action behind it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so what is Springboard? That's such a great question. And Springboard is an online boot camp, and we are virtual mentor led. So all of our courses are led by industry mentors who are working in the industry as designers, data scientists, et cetera. And essentially, we provide a plethora of different cool courses, lots of things I didn't even know about prior to working in the bootcamp industry. As of now, our most newly launched course is in tech sales. Of course, I'm going to be an advocate of that because I'm in the sales industry myself. But following that, we also have software engineering, UI, UX design, UX research, data science, data analytics, data engineering, and cybersecurity. I always amaze myself that I can remember that. I'm always counting on my fingers. Like, did I get
a lot of them, right?
A wealth of really, really awesome courses, and even more so, just an awesome team, making sure that, all of our students are really getting that human guided and human centered support. And so that's what we're about here at Springboard, right? We want to make sure you're obviously digesting the materials and you understand what the heck is going on, because tech stuff is freaking scary. Let me just say that. But in that vein, you feel like you really have a chance of not just digesting the information, but you can step into the industry feeling confident. Yes. Like you really can make a difference and not just get a job, but get a career. And so it is, not to sound super cliche, but it is honestly the most rewarding thing in the world. And I never would in a million years would have thought I would have ended up in tech. But here at Springboard, it's just every single day we have so much power to continue changing lives. And now with the formation of these scholarships, I mean, we're taking it up a whole new level. So
yeah. As a product of bootcamp, I can tell you it is a good way, it's a good segue into pivoting into careers, So it doesn't it's not a 2-year thing, it's 6 months, but everything is packed and it is hard, but It is worth it. That's what I found. That, I did the data analytics boot camp, and it was tough, but it was good. It was great.
I like
so
that.
How do you think this a conversation of inclusion is helping within Springboard?
Yeah, so here at Springboard, we've recently launched a number of different initiatives. The most recent being, we have a fellowship program with Blacks in Technology, which is one of the largest media organizations geared towards creating upward mobility for, brown communities, people that look like me, that look like my mom, that look like my cousins, to have an equal shot and an equal chance, right, to step into a career that will create change for generations to come, right? And so really excited. As of today, we've actually filled all of our scholarships, and I'll be sharing the link, by the way,
you did.
For design.
Please do. Yes. Please do. Yes.
We have a few slots open for our software engineering course. The scholarship covers about $10,000. So we are excited to reward those to some very well-deserved members. And then we also have a very—
Wait for it.
Can we wait? Drum roll?
Drum roll, please.
I'm like, this would actually be the perfect moment living in the city where I would love for a fire truck to drive past my apartment and make a noise. We have a $1,250 discount that our beloved network members at Power to Fly get to take advantage of. So I'll be sharing that code and a type form with all of you all to express interest if you have questions about the program. But essentially, we're excited here, right? Because we are at the front we're at the forefront of this change, and through these opportunities and creating with communities that are already doing the work, such as Power to Fly, I mean, it just allows us to really tap so many people that we otherwise, maybe wouldn't have been able to get in connection with. And so what we're excited about is just to see that, actualize into not only, career changing results, but just like being able to continuously partner with communities that are so aligned in our mission.
Yes.
So
yes. So you can say a springboard is walking the walk and talking the talk, right? With all the scholarships and everything. Yeah, it's such great news. I hope our audience takes advantage of this and applies, and it's worth it. I mean, personally, I can tell you it's worth it. So on to the next question. You talk about education being essential in progressive society, right? So which embraces change. So that's what education is all about. So why do you think that is?
Wow, there's so many ways that I can answer that question. But knowledge is power, right? You don't know what you don't know. And I think, it's, I always say success is perception is reality, right? What success means to one person can vary from to the next, right? But I think one thing that we all can come into agreement on is like, there is nothing more fulfilling than having, ambition and drive and, great opportunities and innovation and feeling like you have an actual pathway to get there, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have, the support system, financing, education, the know-how to be able to actually actualize all of those great ideas that are always going on in your head, they just stay stuck there, right? Yeah. And I think it's so easy for us, to come up with different reasons, why we obviously have a ways to go in terms of diversity. But we have to be real here, and that it just simply is not accessible to everyone. And we're seeing that through our bootcamp model here at Springboard, that it is the key to the recipe, right? We're finding people with so many unconventional backgrounds. I mean, that worked as chefs, or maybe owned a bakery, or worked as a mechanic, right? And complete 180.
Nurses, yes, who want to get into, into a different way of thinking, use their ability to do data analytics on that. So agreed. Education. I like you said, knowledge is power. I didn't mean to cut it off. Please go ahead.
No, you're exactly right there. Knowledge is power. And so, education can come in many different forms, right? And I think that's what we're also learning through bootcamp models is like, what you have on paper is great, but also you learn through just as much through the things you don't like, right? And so many people, the reason why they enroll in boot camps is because they're like, I went the traditional route and I was doing this for X, Y, and Z amount of years because I thought this was who I wanted to be. I thought this is what I wanted to do, but actually I'm not sure, right? Or I like it enough, but now I want to take it up a notch and maybe apply this certain skill set in a different sort of fashion, right? And so not everything is black and white. And when you can connect the dots, that's where I think having access to that education really, really plays a vital role in just the upward mobility we're able to create.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so vital, and I think it touches every aspect of what we are talking, inclusion in tech, and it gives easy access to that, and easy access to figure out whether you like it or not. You're not, 2 years or 6 years of education, and then you're like, no, you will get the sample right away with what you like. Okay, I don't like it, but it's a good way to, go to the next. So next.
And that's still part of education, learning by doing. Yeah. You just have to do it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So what are the barriers to quality education for some, you think?
Definitely starting with, I would say, I mean, it is a privilege, right? And you do have to have financial access. And sometimes that's just not as readily available for varying different reasons, right? There's some individuals who are the primary caretakers for their families, right? They're providing for themselves, they're providing for their children. They may have other family members that are depending on them. So they don't they're not in a privileged position to put themselves first and say, I can allocate, this amount of money to investing in my education.
Right.
A lot of times costs are just inflated nowadays.
Oh,
That's a barrier. I
yes.
think there are so many outdated and archaic ways of hiring that we need to put to rest and we need to re-question, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation, but I would say I'm very privileged in that I get to speak to employers every day, and it's so gratifying to hear how the landscape is actually changing, and how we're working with so many organizations that are, advocating not just for like racial and ethnic diversity, but we're talking about like cognitive diversity and, thinking about even like unconventional pathways to education. Some companies are learning that you actually don't even need a 4-year university degree.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
In a job.
Absolutely. I mean, I've known people who are, like I said, as a nurse who decided, okay, I don't want this, or a teacher who decided, let me delve into tech because it's easily you can work remotely in tech industry, and it's and the hybrid and remote work model is really prized in this industry, and people have had, instead of going through 4 years of education, which is cost arm and a leg and a shirt, now you're doing the boot camp, figuring out, and it is not an easy one either. So
No.
it's a good entry into education, and I think it removes those barriers, economic barriers.
Yes. Yeah,
And
definitely
then
more affordable. I like the point you touched on about just like the rigor of boot camps.
Yeah.
Right. Because you also have to take that into account, right? You may have access to a course, financially speaking, but then you also have to make sure that once you're in the course, you're actually set up to be successful, right? You feel like you can thrive. And so here at Springboard, so many of our candidates, these are working professionals. These are people that are really killing it. I mean, they're working full-time roles while also making sure that they're, completing their course materials on time and things of that sort. And so that's another facet, is like, is your lifestyle set up so that you can solely focus on your schooling and on your education once that initial barrier is broken down?
That's right.
Yeah.
And also don't forget to put in your credentials and all of that. I know we're going to talk at the end of the session, but put in your Springboard web address, your credentials, everything on the LinkedIn and all of that. So don't forget that. I just want to make sure you remember that. So
absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about was what are some of the things that Springboard is doing to remove these barriers in quality education? I know you mentioned the scholarship programs. I think you should say it again. Like, how many, do you have percentage of people who have been, really successful in this? What's the percentage of people who have, or not percentage, but just, in an anecdotal way, like gotten into real jobs, into jobs that they like and things like that. So how have you, how has your education, the bootcamp education, taken down these barriers in all ways,
Oh my goodness, so many ways. I mean, we already have so many, I know I spoke on like our active scholarships now, but like our past work that we've done with different organization, Access being one of them, to create, opportunities for Indigenous communities, and, making sure that we also are holding ourselves accountable. So we have in-house scholarships now too, right? That are not just confined to our diversity scholarships, so women in tech and things of that sort, but also we're realizing people that make under a certain amount of money, right? Like we also need to pay attention to that. I will also say that in terms of barriers, we're rethinking the ways in which we attract different audiences, right? So with the launch of our newer tech sales course, there's no 4-year degree requirement to enroll, right? With our software engineering course, there's no 4-year degree requirement to enroll. There's also not a 4-year degree requirement to get that same level of career placement support and job placement support, right? And so we are really championing for our students. And we're seeing that, I would say, upwards to almost 50% of our students at this point are actually getting placed before they even complete the course. So if that doesn't speak volumes in itself, right?
Right, right. I mean, do you have uh, people from from the industries come in and teach? And is that how you are opening the your students to different communities or different industries, different companies? How do you do that? How are you doing that?
That's a great question. That's actually what sold me on Springboard. They snatched me up from another boot camp. And
I was going to bring that one up. Yes.
yes, they snatched me up from another boot camp. And what I loved about the business model is that we pair it with this one-on-one industry mentorship, which is super, super fantastic. And I mean, Kieran, if you could hear the stories from our alumni community and network just about how much they value that mentorship and how much of a pivotal role that plays in their student journey, it's just so amazing. And I know what it feels like, and I'm sure you can attest to it. It's nothing like having a trusted accountability partner to hold your hand and be there when you're walking through something that could be very scary, right? And these are people that are smart and that are in the industry and that know market trends and not just check boxes, right? And I think that's what's so awesome about our business model is that we recognize the modern, I should say, upskiller nowadays, right? Like they're most likely working. A lot of people don't have time to just commit to being full-time and enrolled in a boot camp. And in that same vein, like we want to make sure you're not just enrolling, but like again, you have that level of accountability, and that's through our human-centered approach here through the form of mentorship. And so our industry mentors just do a phenomenal job, and our career coaches as well, in making sure that our students are really set up for success and they feel empowered, as the saying goes, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. And so we got to make sure that we're both in it to win it, right? And
exactly.
That's how our business model continues to move, is that, we just foster such a community of authenticity and hustle and drive. And we make sure that through and through, from the start all the way up until job placement, our students are even coming back to hire students. I mean, that's the most rewarding, is when we have an alumni come back and say, hey, I've now stepped into a manager role. I completed my boot camp maybe 5 whatever years ago, and like they can attest to just how great the curriculum is. And that is like, those stories are just the best. Those are really the best. Yeah.
It's almost like an alumni, right? Like you go to these big colleges, you have the alumni, now you have the boot camp alumni who comes back and, who is supporting, who is in the industry, who comes in and who talks about it, and then, take from the pool of really amazing candidates. That's one of the things. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about was, inclusion, right? Like we were talking about inclusion in tech industry. One of the ways is education, how it's taking down the barriers. So belonging, how is belonging part of this one? I know I'm throwing this out, but I was listening to all these talks today, amazing talks, and they were talking about belonging as part of it too. Inclusion means belonging. So how do you do the two of them, to marry the two of them together? So tell me a little bit about it.
I wish I had a cup of water to take a swig of water, because that was a good one. That's so important that you brought that up, because there's the quota attainment piece. But how are we, and this goes for everyone, not just to the tech industry, right? You want to make sure that everyone in your corner feels like they belong. They have a seat at the table. Their voice is heard, right? It's like, what are you doing to make sure that, everyone within your community is not just having access to be there, but when they're there, they can be there and they can authentically show up, right? They can really speak their mind. They can speak to things that are unique to their soul and to their journey. And so here at Springboard, not just like the alumni network, but when you're thinking about the ways in which us as an organization as a whole, right? Thinking about how we can kind of cross-sectionally work with these organizations that are aligned in our mission. And I think this is naturally why I'm here today, but Power to Fly is like the best example, right? I always say you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to know all the answers. I think people, although it's great, there's all this focus on diversity. Sometimes people feel like I'm not doing enough, or I have to have it figured. I have to figure it all out and know the answers for everything. There are people right in your backyard doing the work. Lock arms with them.
Exactly.
Lock arms with them. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to always be politically correct, but just show up and show an interest and listen. And you learn so much about, so many things that you otherwise wouldn't have known about. And it's just amazing to see how we can kind of cross-pollinate and come together to amplify a lot of visions, again, that are similar, and missions that are aligned in a way that, is just very authentic for all. So
yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing. And all the career engagement and all of that also brings certain, amount of belonging, because
yes.
it's not just they're like out to sea. You're like actively doing all these different engagements with your students, that I think it prepares them for the next session. It's the next career or whatever they're going to take the next steps in. So, and I know we're almost coming to an end of this, but please do not forget to put in your information where our audience can connect with. How do you find out more about these scholarships? And make sure, audience, that you take advantage of the scholarship and also the discount for the boot camp, which is amazing, which actually helps everyone. So.
Yeah, so the Power to Fly discount is applicable to all of our career tracks right now. Really excited. Obviously, tech sales just launched, so I would definitely check that out. I sent, so the link has been shared with the audience. So Meg has sent that out, the type form. And
Okay,
so the
good.
type form everyone should have received, and that will give you information about the Blackson Technology Software Engineering Fellowship, and then also the Power to Fly discount. If you have any questions, I also included an email address in there to send any questions my way. So inclusion@springboard.com. You also can connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to make new friends on LinkedIn. Deja in parentheses, Adams. So feel free to connect with me there, and we can keep this conversation going.
Awesome. Thank you, Deja, for this amazing, amazing conversation. Love talking to you. I know that, I was really excited about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. This was amazing, Kiran, and I'm wishing you a great rest of the week.
You too.